Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 203. And I made a short Instagram story this week talking about how I was gonna talk about this in length in my podcast, right? And so that's what we're gonna do. The topic of my Instagram story was about nobody hates what you're doing. They just hating on the fact that it's you. And it's true. Whether it's you doing whatever you wanted to do, right? A lot of people will hate on it because it's you doing it. But if it's somebody else who's doing the exact same thing, they most likely ain't gonna say shit to them. So in that aspect, I get it because it's like, yo, misery loves company, right? Everybody doesn't want to see you succeed simply because they're still stuck in the same space. Whether it's physically, financially, mentally, whatever, right? If it's physically, financially, homie, that's all on you. If it's mentally, that's all on you. You know what I mean? It's like we're all the procreators of our own reality, right? And I said in the Instagram story, I said, stop making space for motherfuckers who don't value you. And it's true. I'm not the type where it's like if I get a text message from somebody and if it's always like, 1 or 2 letter words, I'm like, oh hey, well, whatever it is or what's up, you know. I'm most likely not gonna respond, you know. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's like there's no reason for you to send me a 1-word text message or a 2-word text message. It's like, unless it's like, something casual where it's like, okay, whatever. But if we're having conversations every single day, like, why are we sending each other 1 or 2 word text messages? Or it's like, my uncle told me something way back in the day, right? And he's like, nephew, he's like, man, he's like, if you're gonna send me, attachments and shit, man, like put some thought behind it. I was like, what you mean, uncle? He's like, man, just don't send me pictures, just send me pictures, cause I ain't gonna fucking respond to them. I was like, all right, bet, makes sense, right? You know what I mean? And it did, and the older I get, I realize that a lot of people, man, is like, my nigga, when I say they love the vibe that I give, they love the vibe that I give. But sometimes that vibe that I give doesn't get reciprocated because the energy's not there to begin with. Ooh, that's a bar. Let me say that again. Sometimes the energy's not there to get reciprocated because it's not there to begin with. And I think that, like, that's the most important thing, man. Understanding that it's okay, for certain people to, to put them, to put them back in a certain category, right? It's okay to do that. It's like I ran across this post that says it's okay to demote friends back to acquaintances, and it's true. It's okay to do that because it's like, just because you've been rocking with somebody, I know people who've been friends with people for 20+ years. I'm like, yo, like that's wild, right? You know what I mean? Not the fact that the friendship's been that long, but that's just wild, And the fact that people make the conscious effort to be present in somebody's life, right? That's cool. That's awesome. That's great. And at the end of the day, yeah, you can do all that shit, but just make sure that you're not the only one pulling your weight, right? I have a really difficult time communicating with people who say they don't want nothing to do with me, right? I have a really difficult time doing that because it's like on the flip side, it's like, okay, if people come to me with they always have a fucking problem. I have a really difficult time after a while just listening to that shit because it's like, yo, it's like you sitting there blaming everybody else when the person you should be person you should be blaming is the person looking back at you in the mirror. And that's what I tell people, man. It's like you have to stop doing that because it's like number one, it's your fault. Take ownership, take accountability for the shit that you've done or haven't done. Don't sit there and blame other people or do X, Y, and Z because it's like at the end of the day, my boy or my girl, whatever whatever gender that I'm talking to is like it's your fault. Whatever you allow, whatever you tolerate, you become. Um, I was looking up attachment styles yesterday, right? And it took me a long time to build this a secure attachment style because for the longest time I was like I was always overthinking, always doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like okay, even as a matter of fact, a few days ago I had sent in a text message, and I'm like, yo, like I know this person saw this shit, right? I know this person did X, Y, and Z. You know, this person checked out all my Instagram stories, right? Bet. This person commented on my shit. Like, can I return the text message? All right, bet. And so instead of me sitting there wondering why, like, bro, I hopped in a box. You know what I mean? I wrote some rhymes. I kept myself busy because at the end of the day, that's what it is, man. It's like it's the point of stressing you out because somebody else won't communicate with you. It's futile. It's pointless. Because I was told once that people treat you how they feel about you, right? 100% true. That is true. But also too, it's something that a lot of people don't realize, man. It's like people treat you how you treat them, vice versa. So let's say that you tell this individual X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada, boom, 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 boom. It doesn't matter what you say. Let's pretend it's all negative, right? Or let's pretend majority of it is all negative. Or majority of it is negative, I should say. If all this shit is negative, why would this individual return a text message from you? Why would they want to call you, and do X, Y, and Z? Now, this is you telling them that. And I tell people that all the time, man. It's like just because you think somebody's negative doesn't mean that you're absolved from the situation, because you're not. Absolutely not absolved from it. And instead of you sitting there saying all this bad shit about somebody else, why don't you take an introspective look on yourself? And why don't you be like, damn, okay, like I said all this shit, but my nigga, what about me and my bullshit? What about me and my fucking shortcomings, right? What about me and the fucking talking tricks that I have, right? What about all that shit that happens, in a day-to-day life? And what about all the shit that I haven't dealt with, or that I think I've dealt with but haven't dealt with at all? So it's like at the end of the day, yeah, it's everything involved in this, right? It's all the shit, right? And it's just not something that a lot of people want to sit there and process, man. Like they don't want to sit there and be told that they're the fucking problem. They don't want to sit there and be told like, yo, like this is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth relationship you've been in, and all these niggas got the same problem. All these girls got the same problem? Nah, dog. No. It ain't them, my boy. It ain't them, my girl. It's you. you know. And it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, man. It's like nobody hates that, you know, what you're doing. They just hate that it's you. And when I say hate, I don't mean in a bad way or in a good way. It's just a thing. If you don't know how to handle conflict, if you don't know how to take accountability and responsibility for your actions, if you don't know how to do all that shit, if you don't know how to fucking fix a problem, if you don't know how to say, like, look, okay, I've been fucking up. You know, I did X, Y, and Z, boom, 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 but I want to be better. Okay, cool. Let's do that. But at the same time, it's like, stop sitting there and blaming the other person. Like, stop expecting the other person to do all this fucking work. What, you don't expect to do any work either? You know what I mean? It's like, how can you sit there and say all this shit and do all this shit, but in reality, you got to put in work too. You know, it's not something that just happens overnight. It's not something that just like, oh my god, yeah. Like, no. Um it's not something that just, oh shit, you know, like you have an epiphany. It's like, no, it's like you have to get tired of going through the same shit. Or you have to get tired of stepping in your own fucking way, because in reality, a lot of people will do that. Like, they'll step in their own way multiple times, or they'll go back to a situation multiple times, and it's like, yo, you know this situation has no value to you. Why do you keep going back to that? Or why do you keep ignoring the red flags, and then at the very end you're like, boom, 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 boom. Like, ma, those red flags were there the entire time. It's like, I had posted this Instagram reel, and the brother was talking about, he said a part of, the mistake that women make is that they create this perfect guy in their head, but they don't realize that no guy can ever match up to that, because we're not perfect. You know, the perfect guy is gonna have some flaws. The perfect guy is gonna make mistakes. You know, he ain't fucking perfect. You know, he's not. You know, and so with that being said, like, I was reading the comments and shit, and I said, and this one lady said something like, hey, well, something about, ignoring the red flags, yada yada yada. So I commented on it, and I said, like, yo, like, so you gonna complain that this motherfucker ain't got it together, but yet you ignored all the red flags. You know, you ignored every single one of them. You know, and it's like, but you figure if I try harder, he'd love me better, or he would get it together. And I was like, ma, you saw the preview to your own movie, and you didn't, you thought if you tried harder, you thought it was gonna get better. No, it doesn't. You know, and I think that's the problem, man. It's like a lot of people, majority of it is women, some men, will sit there and create this perfect individual in their head, and they'll go out there and they'll look for this perfect individual, not realizing that the dude that they probably overlooking is everything that they need. Me myself, I know for a fact, I'm reclusive as fuck, believe it or not. I'm social, but not overly social. Like, if somebody plans a holiday party, like my gym and my work did, I'm most likely not gonna go. You know, it's not my thing. And I just do three things, man. I go to the job, I go to the gym, and I come back to the box. You know, it's, for me, it's like, okay, that's what brings me, balance, peace. Having me sit here writing rhymes to a beat, whether it's on my phone or whether I'm doing whether I'm doing it on a pad, man. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like you have to find things that bring you joy, and sometimes bring having joy is basically saying like, "Oh, look, this right here brings me peace. I don't have to force it. I don't have to do anything with it. It is what it is, right?" And a lot of people will hate on me simply because I am me, and like I stay out the way, man. I don't. I've never been one to be like, "Oh yeah, drum me this drum." Like, no, like I may talk about certain topics here and there, but it's like, um, majority of the time, it's not worth my energy. It's not worth my energy because it's like, why would I want to sit there and talk about somebody else? You know, unless somebody else brings it up, and then we have something in common. You know, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Because there's a difference in talking shit about somebody and talking truth. Talking shit about somebody means that you're just jealous of them, right? You know, or X, Y, and Z. And a lot of people will do that because they're fucking jealous. You know, it doesn't matter what the situation is, right? Or then like, but if you're talking truth about somebody, like you're usually talking about behavior, you know, and you got to be careful with those type of people because it's like a lot of people will disguise this shit talking as if they're talking truth, and it's like no, in reality, it's like you don't like this other individual, you're actually hating on them, right? Um, but in terms of me, you know, going circling back to my main topic, my opening statement. Uh, a lot of people don't hate what you're doing. They just hate that it's you. You know, whether it's you minding your own business, whether it's you working on your goals, whether it's you just trying to become a better individual, better parent, better, you know, whether you're going through a divorce or whatever it is, and you're trying to navigate whatever the fuck this is, right? And it's nothing bad, it's nothing good, it's just a thing, you know, like you don't like you're not gonna get everything right, you know, you know, we all fuck up, you know, it's it's crazy to think to me that people be like, oh yeah, boom, 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 boom. It's like one of the girls I know, her and her husband were going to marriage counseling, right? And she's telling us, you know, mind you, because it's a group of us, right? She's telling us all this shit, like, oh yeah, you know, well, boom, 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 you know, well, marriage counseling wasn't my idea, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, but you agreed to it, so you recognize that there's a problem. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah. If you agreed to go to marriage counseling, that means you recognize that there's a problem. If there wasn't a problem, y'all wouldn't be going to marriage counseling. And my other partner was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, man. And he's like, you already looking for the back door in the situation because you don't want to deal with yourself. And it's true. You know, like you start looking around, you start realizing that a lot of these motherfuckers ain't who they say they are, man. Like, you know, they're not you know, transparent with themselves, but yet they want to have this, you know, this veil, you know, around themselves, thinking that this shit perfect. I'm like, and I remember she was complaining about her husband. I'm like, no, it's like that, like there's more to this shit, right? And I think it's like I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's like, and I don't mean to sound sexist, but a lot of women will sit there and act like they didn't create problems to have problems. Men, naturally, we are problem solvers. I would literally tell my girl, baby, okay, boom, 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 boom. We figured out one fucking problem, next problem. I don't have time to sit there and fucking go through all these, you know, these fake ass scenarios or do all this shit because I don't have the time. You know, I don't. I'm not gonna brainstorm for a fucking fictitious problem. I'm gonna deal with the fucking problem that's right the fucking front of it. You know, problem A, bingo. Not problem fucking D. You know, or not problem Z. You know, some shit that's way the fuck down there. But it just comes down to the individual and like what they want and how they want to move because it's like I can't force you to be better than what you are. You have to be better for yourself, man. It's like you can't Like, you can't sit there. I mean, like, you know, some Charlie Brown shit. Anyway, y'all, like I always said, man, nobody hates what you're doing. They just hate that it's you. So keep applying pressure, keep stepping on the necks, and keep doing what you're doing, man. Hope y'all, and this is about 20 minutes of your life that y'all won't get back. Hope y'all keeping the 4 P's, private, player, positive, and pushing. I'll see y'all next week. I love y'all. Goes. Like I always say, know your worth, because you're better than what you are. Peace.